And welcome back to the Paul Farrington Show, an instant reaction to the Texans' walloping, dominant win over Joe Flacco and the Cleveland Browns. The game's not even over right now. We're midway through the fourth quarter. It's 45-14, but I've seen all that I needed from CJ Stroud and this Texans team to come and record. Ziggy, Jack, and Zach will all be back with me tomorrow morning. We'll be doing a reaction to the Saturday games. Of course, we're also going to be hitting Packers versus Cowboys, the Sunday afternoon game tomorrow with an instant reaction live in the studio. We're looking forward to that. That'll be a lot of fun. You know, CJ Stroud has been one of the favorite players of the Paul Farrington Show, probably the favorite player the entire season. He's just been so much fun to watch, and we were on the Texans earlier than most people were. Even though there weren't high expectations, we saw things early on that were just exciting. And throughout the season, we really latched on to this Texans team and have enjoyed the Houston Texans fans also supporting the show. I'd say Jordan Love is someone that Packers fans would hop in and say, wait a second, he might be your favorite player. Jordan Love's the most important player to the Paul Farrington Show, not necessarily the favorite, although maybe for some people. Today, Stroud goes, by the time this is over, probably around 300 yards, just 3 touchdowns at this point here. And midway through the second quarter of this game, it became abundantly clear to me that CJ Stroud is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And I know that that's a pretty heavy take to have, but when you think about it, is it really that crazy? You have Patrick Mahomes, you have Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. I don't think anyone would argue that. And then after that, the next name that comes up, Ziggy and I were talking about this in text today, Justin Herbert, probably, but he's probably in that conversation for top 5, but what have we seen from him when it counts? What have we seen in the playoffs? CJ Stroud has gotten further in the NFL playoffs than Justin Herbert ever has in one season with less talent than Herbert normally has. You could bring up Jalen Hurts, but we've seen regression this year from him and this Eagles team as a whole. With the season that CJ Stroud put together, with the pieces around him, and the pieces around him are performing at a high level right now. But with what we've seen from CJ Stroud right now, I don't see any reason why he can't be a top 5 quarterback in the National Football League. No one wants to see the Houston Texans because of CJ Stroud. He is on that elite quarterback level, that top tier quarterback level with the superstars in the league. There's no denying that anymore for me. They showed that graphic of him in big time performances. They mentioned the Rose Bowl. They mentioned the Peach Bowl against Georgia last year. 600 yards and 6 touchdowns against Utah. 350 and 4 against Georgia. That elite Georgia defense. Think about what you've seen from CJ Stroud in the big moments of this season against Tampa Bay late in the year or earlier in the season. Big comeback drive against the Colts just a couple weeks ago or just last week. Game-winning drive. When it matters, CJ Stroud shows up, and most quarterbacks in this league don't possess that trait. That is one of the traits that is hard to find in an NFL quarterback. Even some of the superstars, Lamar Jackson has questions about how well he plays in big moments. It might be the most coveted trait a quarterback can have. And for Texans fans, you don't have to worry about that. It's very clear that your guy has it. And it was funny watching Deshaun Watson being an onlooker in this game, because I think CJ Stroud is going to be a lot better than Deshaun ever was in Houston. We're talking about CJ Stroud, an all-time Texan. That's what we're going to get from him by the time his career is over here. It's just been one of the more impressive rookie seasons, one of the more impressive quarterbacking seasons that I've ever seen in the NFL from Stroud this year. What he's done with what he has, and those guys, to be fair to them, they have stepped up too. Devin Singletary rejuvenating his career this season. Nico Collins with Tank Dell out has looked like a number 1 more than he has not over these past few weeks. I mean, he's taking over games. He's running down the field wide open. I texted to the guys, it looks like this Houston offense is the Ohio State offense right now, with how guys are wide open downfield, and Stroud's putting it on the money. Just an unbelievable performance from this Texans offense this season, this game. We know the Browns defense was a lot worse on the road than they were at home, but this was still one of the better units in the NFL. And the difference from the Texans without CJ Stroud or just in any game, when you see the difference that this team has, when he's on the field, they can beat anyone. No one wants to play them in this playoffs. He's that good. And this Texans team, there's an advantage to being this young. We said it with the Packers. You come into these games, CJ Stroud said it himself, when the expectations are lower, you just don't have that pressure. And in some ways, when you've never been there before, when you don't really understand what's at stake, you're just playing loose, that makes you dangerous. And whether it's the Ravens or the Bills, you're going to have a dogfight next weekend. It is going to be a tough out no matter who you're playing when you're playing this Houston Texans team. Real quick on the defense, other than the 2 drives in the first half, second or first quarter, I can't remember right now, where Cleveland went right down the field, they were all over Joe Flacco. And they made his life miserable. It was carnage in that Cleveland backfield all day. Then on the back end, you have the 2 pick sixes. When this defense is making plays, in addition to the dynamic offense, man, I mean, this is a tough team to beat. If the defense shows up and makes plays, you don't want to give CJ Stroud too many opportunities because he will make you pay. This Texans team is getting hot at the right time. There is potential for a AFC Championship Super Bowl run here. And who would have expected it? I mean, we've been high on this team all year, but to dominate a Cleveland Browns team that's been as hot as Cleveland has with Flacco, man, a good time to be a Houston Texans fan. We'll be back with more reactions later today. Thanks for listening to this quick instant reaction on the Paul Farrington Show.